things that can happen whenever you're developing anything, especially, VR development is game development. So especially as you're starting out, the differences are, there's more in common than different. There's a lot of very specific VR things, I'll get into some of that, but there's certain basic fundamental things, and using an asset control server is one of them, because if you're serious about developing, you really want to use something like this because it prevents you from kind of messing your work up irreversibly, which can happen. It allows you to track all of your changes and at any point go back to where you were without losing anything. So what we've got here, what you've all just connected to, is the asset control server we used for the last time I taught this class. And so there's actually, the game that we made is actually in there right now, but we're going to remake it. But you've got the full thing in here. So who else, are you connected?
I'm connecting.
That's not workspace on mine.
Yeah, are you?
New?
Yeah, creating new workspace?
How do you see that?
Oh, that's called Branch Explorer. Click on Branch Explorer, and you should see that after you are in there, it's a little bit different on Mac. Yeah, go to Branch Explorer on the left. Okay, type in pixelrouter. Oh, you're already in there. Just go like this.
No.
Oh wait, did you set up connect to pixelrouter?
No.
Oh, you have to do that. You have to do. It is classic SCM. Right, configuration. There, that's where you have to put in that.
Plastic?
So,
No, no,
pixelrouter.dymdns.org. Pixelrouter. .dymdns.org. Who has that number, the port number on there? dymdns.org. And then there was a colon. I don't remember what it is. It's in the email I sent.
Oh.
I'll tell you in just a minute.
I don't
Who?
know where I am.
Did you connect to?
8087.
Click on this. Was it 8087?
Yeah.
Here, let me. Did you put that in yet? Can I see? Did you connect to Pixel yet?
I tried. I think I did.
Then what do I
I'm not sure
have
if I did.
credentials?
Okay.
Let's see here. Configure your computer. Yeah. I think. Put what is it? It's just put your. I think it's your first initial and last name.
Oh,
in both.
oh, you have to put
then-
password, which
And
is
then
the
put
same thing.
Same thing there.
Put
Put Chet in
It's
there.
my
In the
password
box too,
or
and then
first
hit
name?
No,
Chet.
I
yours,
think it was your full.
which
name.
was
Oh, full
And
first
then
name and last
first
initial.
initial.
yeah. So
Last
yours
all
Sorry, I had it
lowercase.
was
backwards.
LUYINGG because I put first. It was 2 G's because I used the first name, last initial for both.
So this is.
Yep, and this is the password too. Same thing.
Oh.
Yeah, just same thing. Real tight security on this. Wait,
So now it's that.
all right, let me see here. This is LUYINGG, right?
Oh.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Password. Okay, try now.
Same.
Yep, same. Oh, lowercase L, all lowercase.
Oh. Right.
And who is still not in?
I'm still on.
What are we doing?
We're connecting to my asset control server, which is where everything that we're going to do in the next couple of hours is going to be tracked in there, and you'll still have access to it when you leave.
And then hit OK.
Yeah, hit OK. And
So
you-
we launched this.
Installed and you're looking for the application.
Sorry, you walked out.
It's called Plastic. Yeah, there it is.
You
All right.
already live with the plastic.
Okay, so
Like, open up that.
Okay, so
there's only one. You're
it's in my config.
So I installed everything. Is it Mac plastic or? Because
it's called Plastic once it's installed.
It was called Mac Plastic when I
Oh, is it?
installed it.
Yeah, did you hit check,
I
right?
had Mac,
Yeah,
so it was
yeah, hit
different
okay.
than like how
So you
And
definitely
one
then-
like it.
Yes.
One word.
James.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
because
I did.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I just had
Okay, so I ran
Yeah,
this.
in addition-
If you're on a Mac,
Maybe
it's
hit
all plastic.
browse.
8087. Select
Yeah,
phone
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah,
You already installed it,
yeah.
so go to your
Yeah.
applications and.
Okay, whatever you
Mac
say.
plastic.
Okay.
New.
I
So I'm guessing it's not.
Do I have to buy?
So.
Oh.
Connected to the internet, right?
Oh, this is Windows. This is Windows. And this is, let me get my mouse out. It's just really a pain.
Yeah.
So you can't open
Yeah,
it. That's
maybe
what you
get
can't open.
that.
Just copy that.
No, that's the installer.
Where's the
You might need
I
it.
did
It's
that.
on the
way.
side.
It showed up for me.
Because it covers other
Okay.
If you go to your application, yeah.
There we go.
If we do not see it in your repositories,
First letter of your last name.
Sometimes it helps just like talk,
Hey, I don't
like
know.
talk about it, like even if I don't say anything.
Thank you.
So basically, all you do is, put that, the same thing in both.
Password should be,
Your password is your first name with and then the first initial of your last name. So
I had to do it twice, so
Is your first name
I
Vanilla?
cancel it and then
Put
like
that-
hit
put your
cancel and then
first
just
name
like I
and then C.
reopened it and did it again. And then it worked a second time, so maybe
just,
maybe that
go
was
back.
it.
Oh, you on-
Right
on
up
the web-
against
are you
your
online?
name.
did you get connected to the Wi-Fi?
I might
I
have,
don't
yes,
think so.
I didn't turn it off, well, I didn't turn it on or off.
Yeah, you gotta
supposed to go to
be
new
on Microsoft
Okay, go
Open,
to create a new
connect.
workspace.
and then you're
Oh.
gonna say,
Click on here and you're gonna have to scroll down.
Not sure
And
which
you're
one.
gonna choose the.
okay,
Yeah.
connect. See, we wanna connect to the real world VR, the class. Yeah. All right, we're almost done here.
Yeah, that one.
Thanks for doing it.
No, no, this is good.
And then hit a-
Okay, and,
This
you
one
were,
that says,
Yeah, you said okay.
class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
CHENG.
And I think that's
so I did
No.
.c.c, I think that's it.
All right,
Yeah,
and then you get
And
there.
I think you're in, let's see.
Refresh.
Yeah,
you
then
can't do
go
that.
to
Click on
And
each
then now we just
workspace.
go to,
And then go to.
cool, now I think we
Wait.
just can load plastic.
And it should be,
Like this.
he was.
That's
And
it, right?
This is the part that always throws me is configuring.
Let me.
While it was on the
Oh,
top.
sure.
Okay.
Could you?
Can you sit down or?
No.
You're right.
So you have.
No, it's just two.
Do you have an inside?
Two here. Okay.
You can sit over here. I think, yeah.
Okay.
Do you need cost?
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Because I went through it.
Creating new
So
workstation.
you wanna open
So-
plastics.
Let me just double check.
then we go to now.
Okay, there we go. So
I did
workspace,
closed
just
it,
like we did.
Creating a new
then I
workspace.
opened it
Yeah, you're gonna
again.
create a new workspace off of real world.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, the
Thanks.
default repository is real world VR, the class, and there we go.
Okay, so.
Is that what our base camp was? I'm not really sure.
Basic, we'll get to that in just a minute, and we say, okay, and now you're in.
Thank you.
Okay, who else is not in?
Thank God he did it for me, it'll be like an hour later. I
Hey, how you doing?
don't
Rita?
use it, help me out.
Okay,
I'm a
cool.
Mac user too, but this is nice and cheap.
Are we?
This is a $399
Are you in?
computer.
All right.
Oh, and did you do your math like at home desktop or?
Yeah, I did.
That happened to me, but then I opened it again, and then
I
next
should
time
buy
it
this
worked.
because I can't go.
All
to
right.
the laptop.
So we're gonna start this.
Mine's not working.
It's like her
No,
name
brother.
shows up, and then
Hit okay.
James.
Hit okay. Now hit okay.
No.
No.
and then it like closed it. I did that happen to me, and then I opened it again.
That happened over
too.
there.
We had to like open it and
All
try it
the
a couple
latest computer
times.
things was getting really, really complicated because there's so many.
Here,
technologies. I just came out from Google In and Out, and I was like, you know, over here now, you know,
Did you
it's like 6:15, I had to leave for class.
All right, it's
And then
working.
there's the roadshow, I'm signed up for the roadshows, I'm trying as much as I can.
Okay. It is working.
There, there's like a Microsoft like a
Yeah,
big
so then there'll
deal.
be an email. Let me see.
You'll see everyone
I'll
coming
see-
in
I'll
now,
see a
yeah.
bunch
All right, who still needs help, or can we like transition into the?
And then you're gonna.
I mean, this is really pretty amazing that we just got 15 people signed up on a distributed asset control server. That's, all right, we're gonna build a game.
That one.
What about this window here, this switcher? Can I close this window for now?
Let's see. That's the one you want to just double click on that. Real world VR the class. Try that. Double click on real world. Oh no, yeah, that's what you need. That's what you need. Okay. Here we go, everyone. Time for the didactic portion, as it were. Okay, welcome to the Real World VR class. This is take 2 on the class. We did this last month. It was a lot of fun. We decided to do it again. So, this is what I'm going to go over tonight. And we're going to kind of rip through this stuff because there's a bunch of stuff here and we don't have all too long. Technically, the class is over at 8. We can be here till 9. That's something that really kick people out. So, what I want to talk about is I want to cover these major topics that come up when building a VR game. This is not the Intro to Unity class that teaches you how to animate things in Unity and make stuff happen when you click on them and see it all in a Google Cardboard. That's a different class. This is more of a class that aims to give you the topical headings of the other things that you're going to need to know about, you're going to encounter, and to at least get you exposed to them. Even just what you're doing right now, you are now people that use an asset control server. That's a big deal. That's what professional software developers do. It's one of the main lines that separates amateur and professional software developers. And I find that even as an amateur software developer, it pays to learn from professional software developers and game developers and use certain techniques like these things here that I'm going to talk about. So one
Are all
of the
these going to be slides on?
I will
too?
put this on Basecamp
Okay.
because we're on Basecamp and now we can do that. So that's my first point, that there's this thing called Basecamp that I use, which everyone has seen because everyone got the invite email and now you're all on the Basecamp site and we've already begun to use it and we've already saw the power of it. That how many people are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 10 people, 11 people can walk in and already have something going because we use this tool to make it happen. And I use Basecamp for everything. We use Basecamp on the Zone project. I say we because Sarah has recently started working and helping on Zone. And because we have this awesome tool called Basecamp, which is a project management site, it's kind of like your own private Facebook for a small group of people. And we'll look at that for a little bit. It's a great foundation, and I think it's free for one project. It might be like $10 a month or something when you really start to use it at all, but it's not too expensive. So it has users. You are all now users on my Basecamp site. And you have access to the Real World VR project. That's a project, it's this class, and it's what happens after this class. So it's a way that we can keep in touch, and we can continue to work on something together. So even if you're working by yourself, use a Basecamp site because it is so awesome to be able to have to-do items and threads of discussion, and just I can go back to the Zone project. I make this game called Zone. I've been working on for 2.5 years now. That I can go back to day one and see everything I've ever done on it because it's all tracked there. It's just awesome. You've got discussion threads, to-do lists, events, and also version-controlled documents. Like if you say, this is what I want my game to be like, and you write it, and then later you want to refine that, you can refine it, and it will track all of your changes. So let me just show you a little bit about, I'll just show you a brief tour through the Basecamp site for the Zone project, my game Zone. So this is Basecamp. Here's the project that we're on, Real World VR game development, but I'm going to go to this other project called the Zone Development Club. And we've got 55 discussions on here, 26 to-dos. There's things that are in process with different topics, and you can assign things to people.
Playcrafting?
This is the VR class?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, I'm James.
James, they're sending people to the other room.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what to tell you about that. Pull up a chair and just kind of catch up. If you are good, you don't have a computer, or you do.
I do.
If you want to follow along, it might be a little advanced right now because we're kind of all into it. But if someone else could help you get set up, that'd be
Go
great.
ahead, I'll catch you anyway I can.
All right, cool. So this is what a Basecamp site looks like. And so I could go here to discussions, for instance, and I could go back to development. Let me find the original development log. Where's the original discussion? One moment here. Development log.
What's your name? Sam. All right, what's your last
Development log from day one. So here, September 19th, 2014, when VR was just getting going, this is how I started making this project. And the Wi-Fi will cooperate. There we go. And so this was the very first message that I wrote to someone at a Boston VR meetup group in February 2014. That's ancient times in VR. He said, let's make a game, essentially. And we can see I can see just by scrolling through this, our discussions and how we just started to build things, and you can post documents and pictures right in line, and you can see something develop. And something like this, you might say, well, this isn't a VR thing, really, but it's critical, especially for VR game development. There's so many moving pieces. Use Basecamp, or use another tool if you find one that's better than it, but something like this is great. And being able to just see the progress and go back, it gives you a sense of the scope of what it was like to make the first level of Zone, which I'll show a brief little bit of what Zone is so you know what I'm talking about.
Do we get notifications on our regular email
Yes.
or across?
Yes,
You know.
and I can disable that if they become annoying, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. So this is all just one discussion thread, and I've got 55 discussion threads, so I've got to put a lot of stuff in here. And it's just, it always has been helpful, and it scales up, and it's just awesome. And if we look here at the real world VR, the project for tonight's class, and it was also the project for last month's class, what I have done in here is already, I've got several discussions here that have content. For instance, I recorded myself working on Zone for like 30 minutes at a time and posted videos. So there's like some gold in here. If you just want to watch what it's like to work on Zone, work on a VR game. I mean, I recorded some of these on the train from to Manhattan, and let's just see what was going on here. Will it play? Yeah, I think it will. This is all up on there. There's only so much you can do in 2 hours, but this is all up there, and you can spend some time looking through this stuff, and there's valuable stuff, and I can interact with you more on this stuff. Right now,
Does that mean that we can ask you questions after the
absolutely.
class? Oh.
My real hope is someone will be really into doing that, and they'll end up wanting to work on my team and make this game. That's why I do this. That's what happened with her.
Is this a volunteer?
Yeah. So okay, for whatever reason, that's not playing right now. But I've got some sessions on there. I've also got. I recorded myself producing music for
Yeah. Are you going to show us Ableton Live?
a for like 5 minutes.
Okay, good.
and I recorded. There's a talk I gave about the 360 video in Unity. So this is all here, and there's discussion threads. So we can write and we can communicate as much as you want. So I kind of like this idea that a 2-hour class is really just like the tip of the iceberg of more of a correspondence relationship. And so that's kind of up to you guys how much you want to do that.
Great.
So that's Basecamp. What else I can show you real quick is on here. I'll just show that there are.
Is this also free storage, by the way? Can we?
There is some amount of
so we
several.
don't get home
There is some amount of it. So if we can go here.
Sorry, this question has been answered. So in order to access to all of that information, what do I need to do?
I sent you a login. I sent you an email before the class. Yeah.
Okay.
So also here in the Zone Development Club, we have something called Zone Design Notes. So this is something that's not meant to be a threaded discussion, but it's more like a document, the manifesto, as it were. What is Zone? And as we write on it, you can see here on the right version history. See this? All these dates. So we can go all the way back when I started writing it right here, and it was this. And that was in May 7th of like a couple of years ago. And now I can go to any one of these, click on it, and see what was added somewhere in here. See, this is all this green stuff was added in that revision. You get it? Yeah. So you can have a real solid way of tracking your progress on something and refining something and sculpting something and having a design document. Even if you're going to just do a simple little project, writing something like this up and then keeping track of your changes on it is one of the things that marks you as a professional developer. And even if you're one person at home writing something just for fun, treat it that way and be a professional developer. So that's enough about Basecamp, because we don't have unlimited time, but that's Basecamp, and we can interact more on it if you like. Next up, at this time before, I do want to show real quick, I want to show because most people don't even know what Zone is. I mean, some of you have played Zone. I know Jay's played Zone.
I don't know what it is.
Oh, Zone is the game I've been working on for a long time that was born so much out of the VR scene. I was so into VR 2.5 years ago, before there was such thing as New York Virtual Reality. There was
I met you last year. You showed us something you made with NYU.
Yeah.
I was
working with NYU then at the holodeck. It was called. But I used to drive up to Boston every month for the VR meetup because it was the only one on the East Coast. I would drive 4 hours every month to go to the meetup, and that's when, of course, I'd leave at 2, get home at 4 in the morning, and that's why I met the guy. I started working on this game Zone. And here's a little trailer showing some of the times that we've brought this out to places like Comic-Con. We have been to Comic-Con and all over. And hopefully this will play properly. I think it will.
Do we have to have a Rift to work on the Zone? Oculus Rift?
Do you have to have a
Oculus Rift? I'll let you do your thing.
This was playing fine a minute ago. Let's figure out why this won't play.
Is the connection okay?
Yeah, it was. Is it something about the sound? I'll try to see if it'll even play. I I think there's something fundamentally messed up with my computer where it's not able to play anything that has sound right now. Ah, probably because this is open. One moment, we'll fix this. I think that might have been it. There it is. Sometimes when you have two audio things open, they don't like to play together. Here we go. So this is Zone. This is the VR game that we are working on right now, releasing.
That was amazing. Like if you've ever had a lucid dream, it's exactly like that. I don't even know what to say. Like the level design with the music, I just felt so immersed in the experience. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
That was incredible. It's hard to imagine that you're actually in the real world at the same time. It's incredible. There's no other way to describe it.
This is it, you know? This is the future. You know, it's reality. It's one of the greatest things I've played, you know?
That was incredible, and that was awesome. Just the best experience I've played video games. Awesome.
This is why I do it.
Awesome. All I have to say, awesome. Awesome.
That's called Zone Face.
I feel like I just got thrust into a new world. That's the only way I can explain it.
I feel sad because now I'm back in real life, and it's not the same. It's unfair that I'm really only going to be able to play this once, because I can play this like 1,000 times, and I feel like I still won't be able to really see everything that you put into this. Where can I find you so I can play this one more time? Yeah, expand.
I wasn't even supposed to be here. I just showed up on my computer. I had the longest line in the place. What? Javits Center.
Yes! Yes! Oh, awesome! Fun, man! It was probably one of the most intense games I've ever played.
So that is Zone. That is Zone. And to even being able to make little things like this is part of VR game development. You gotta be able to learn how to do something. All right, cool. So that's Zone. And I've been working on it for 2.5 years, and now I've got several people working on it with me, and I'm looking for more to work on it with me. And we're getting ready to release something that's going to be amazing. Cool. Next up. One moment.
Are you also planning to release it for the Gear VR?
We're actually planning on releasing it for the Gear VR first. In fact, right here, I actually have a version for the Gear VR. I have it, in fact, since you asked that, I can spend another 2 minutes doing that. This is, why not? It's 1.5 minutes. Let's look. This is the Gear VR version. Now, you might recognize one of these.
It was just the best experience I ever had. I just played Zone.
At the Oculus booth. I demo it at the Oculus booth at the shows.
It's so fast, so floaty.
Yeah.
You're just moving faster.
See, that's the Gear VR version. See, this is on the mobile, except you think it'll look better now.
It's amazing.
It's simpler, but
it was crazy. It just fully immersed you into the game.
that was on the Note 4. I have that with me tonight.
This is the most amazing game I have ever played. It's freaking amazing. It's better than any game I have ever played. And I've got a
Now, this guy coming up is the guy that founded Unity. You'll see David Hegelson. You might recognize him. He's the CEO of Unity. Yeah, he founded Unity. Yeah. Look what he says. He invented Unity, or he's a business guy.
So well done. So tight, my favorite. It's just a beautiful experience.
That was at a party. I was just like, here, playing.
It is so great.
So, that was the Gear VR. And you might have noticed the visuals are a little bit less like flashy, but it was still fundamentally.
I like just the background image of the
Yeah, I'm going to show how to make that stuff tonight.
But did you lose the quality? Was it on the rendering, or you guys had to get rid of some of the assets?
This is the current version. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the reflections on the floor and everything. It's actually better than what you saw.
Hey everybody, Fusion coming at you today, and I wanted to show you guys a new feature.
Here, pass this around. This is what you can use your finger on the screen. That's sort of an early alpha of the VR version that's running on the phone. Look at those reflections and stuff.
Beautiful.
Is this Note 5?
This is the S7, but it will run on the Note 5.
Sick.
Yeah,
You get that working.
that is called real-time procedural cube map generation. That's the technique I invented this week. Yeah, so let's
Are
keep.
you gonna show us?
Yes. Well, not that, but we can talk about it on Basecamp. Okay. Hold
Wow,
on.
looks great on the phone.
Yeah.
James, beauty.
Thank you.
Can I just
And that's a
maybe-
lot. A lot of that is Olga too. My
I'm
collaborator
thinking about
Olga
getting
is an
this
artist
one.
who's helping me.
It's great for VR. So.
You can use your finger on that to steer. You know that, right?
Oh,
It's got like if you can touch the screen. You know.
yeah, okay, and then I can,
Yeah, you can.
so the little red ball.
Yeah, it's like
comes
a
out.
joystick.
Oh, wow.
Just you can pass it around. Okay, next up, while you're passing that around, this is how I've been refining that to get run on a modern phone, and the visuals are getting to be almost as good as on a computer. Next up, while that's going on, I want to talk about asset control. We've already talked about plastic SCM a lot, right? But I want to explain a little bit more. The idea of plastic SCM is that you have something called a repository or a repo that exists at home base. In this case, it's at my house. I have a NAS drive, a drive that has a backup on it, and you make something called a repository. And the repository is for a given project, and it sits at home, and it's safe. You make sure that that's backed up. Then on your computer, you make a workspace. You all made a workspace, and you associated it with a repository. So that meant you now have a local copy of what's on the repository. So now as you are working and modifying things on your computer, you're not going to mess anything up that's on home base. And when you want to make your changes permanent, you check it in, and it makes a change. It makes a branch so that what you had before is safe. You can always go back. But it's really, really important to have this because it allows you to say, all right, I'm happy with what I have, and you can do something called branching, which is where you branch off and go in a new direction, you work on a new project, and you're not in danger of hurting your main project. We'll show that. Well, let's do it right now.
So it's like GitHub.
It actually is. It's very similar, like GitHub.
Is it more like Git or it's more like Dropbox?
It's more like Git. It actually is very similar to Git. It's just very nicely integrated into Unity, but it has the same model of Git of branching and merging and pulling and all that.
This is why you use plastic over GitHub?
I use plastic over GitHub. Plastic is awesome, and the reason I'm saying that is because it's supposed to be for pay, but I keep telling you, I'm teaching them classes, so please let me use it one more month. Just like Scheherazade. So guys, I'm gonna keep teaching. Plastic SCM is really awesome. So here, for instance, that we're looking at it, this is a view of the repo for the class. And I'll show real quick what it looks like to look at the repo for Zone that I've been working on for a while. Or actually, for what you have in your hand, for instance, the Zone for gear, you can see, where is it, right? Is it here? No, Zone Kickstarter, here it is. And so what you've been passing around here, you can see how there's multiple lanes here. What you're seeing here, everything here, what you have in your hand started right here on 4/19/2016. And I decided to make a new project and start fresh. And then each one of these little blue circles represents changes that I made along the way. And for a while, I was just working on my own. And each one of these, if I double click to see what was I doing there on 5/9/2016, I can see exactly what I did. I only checked in 2 materials there, and that's it. And if I mouse over some of these things, see if I mouse over at the bottom it says comments, adding spawner gizmos. I remember what that means. So now I can go back to, oh, that was that time that I added the spawner gizmos, and I can always go back to that. And then there's a time here, you can see the dates up top, when Olga, my collaborator, said, you know what, I want to work on this and make some new art for you. So what she did on the 14th is she right-clicked on this and said, create branch. And that gave her this new lane. So that means I can keep working, and what she works on has no bearing on what I'm doing. But then she can call me up a couple days later and be super excited and be like, James, you gotta check out this thing I made. It's really great. So I can go, let's say I was here that day, and I would right-click on this, and I would say, merge from this change set, and it brings her work back into my work, and it gives me the opportunity then to resolve any problems or conflicts, or if we both worked on a file. Sometimes there's a few things you need to work out, but she was never in danger of hurting the progress of my project by going out on a tangent and doing something that might have affected the project adversely. And so it gives you this real freedom to work. And so even if you're just one person, there's times that you might want to branch just to do an experiment. What happens if I swap out this whole thing with this other whole thing and not worry about breaking what you've been working on? And in VR, that's important. You know why? One of the things that's really important about significant about VR game development now is that things are always changing underneath your feet. There's always a new version of the Oculus, or there's always a new version of the cardboard, or there's new versions of the APIs and the software that make it all work. And sometimes you need to swap out old stuff for new stuff. And I've had my progress at times be really threatened by that. And being able to do those changes in branches makes you have this level of confidence that's really important. So there you can see where we are now. There's been like 4 times I've pulled her changes in, and now she just yesterday just made a new branch to work on some new fancy stuff. And this is the whole progress of that project that we just passed around the table to get on the mobile device. And so that's plastic.
Shouldn't you check out a new branch as well before you merge into? Like, whenever you make changes, you should check out a branch, make the changes, then merge it back in.
At my work at my day job, I do that every time.
Yeah.
And I play with that at times. There is a school of thought that says every change should be a branch.
Yeah.
And I find that's
too many branches. Though.
Well, no, at work we've made probably 200 branches in the last week at my.
Color code them to.
Yeah, you can. You can. There's a lot of things you can do. I find that when I'm working, it's like I find that I've never been bit by not doing that. So I kind of I know that rule and I break it. It's different than not knowing the rule and breaking it.
I'm the other way. I didn't ever do it, and then it bit me, and then I.
And maybe I'll get bitten by it at some point, because there is a school of thought that says every time you have a task, branch.
4 developers on this thing.
I might scale. I would
to take a branch out.
Yes, if I put some more, if there's a point at which I had more developers, what you can do is say every task, every to do, it equates to a branch, and you make a branch, finish the to-do, and then you check it in. So that's the way it can work. But just having this at all, you're so far ahead of not having it that's a little bit more advanced refinement. Yes, you're right. You could do it that way, and it's probably better.
You have a server at your house
that's
running this?
I do. It's just on my computer that's backed up to I got a NAS drive that has a backup, so it's just safe. It's just running on a computer.
Right.
So let's switch back to this one. Now, we're going to actually create a branch, because what we've got here is this was the branches that I made in the last class. And so in this first one here was when I just created let's see, if I go here, if I switch workspace, let me, this is C users James Workspace is real world VR the class. What we're going to do is we're going to build a game quickly here tonight. So let's go back to, let's see, which one do I want to go from? Initial add of a new project. Okay, everyone made a project in Unity before, like opened Unity and said, make a new project, right? So we're going to if you haven't done that, then you can do that, and then we're going to go back to this point in the class when I did that. And I'm going to go here, and I'm going to switch my workspace. I'm gonna set. Where is it? It is switch workspace to this change set. This is a big thing that comes up all the time. I can't switch. I wanted to switch my little home to go back, and it's saying I can't switch because
Do you want us to switch too?
In a minute.
Okay.
Is because there's pending changes. And what that meant is if you have anything changed, you can't switch because you got to settle up with that. And so I have a couple things that just get changed. Whenever you run Unity, it changes a couple files. See, these things have gotten changed, but I don't care about them, so I do undo changes. And now I'm back to square one, and I go back to my branch explorer, and I say, I'm going to go back to here. Because you see, if I look at the comment here, initial add of new project, says comment, initial add of new project. So I'm going to switch workspace to this change set. And now I'm going to go back in time. It's going to set everything up to the way it was then. And now, if I look at the, can I open up? I got to open up that folder, which is in, where is it? It's in C users workspaces real world VR. Here. So now you'll see what I've got here. Real world VR the class. It's the folder. And see what it has. It has this folder called QB. That's the project. That's the game we're going to make. It's called QB. You'll see why. It's just a brand new project. It's a brand new Unity project with nothing in it. Actually, this stuff, I can delete some of this stuff, this library and this temp. We'll get to that in a minute. That you see some of this stuff didn't get deleted, and it's because certain folders you don't want to put in your asset control because Unity generates them every time and you don't want to keep them. It's open in, oh, because it's open in Unity.
So
Is there
I'll explain that more in a minute what I'm doing here.
So Plastic already clones the repository for you?
Assets, build, library, and project settings. Library, I want to delete. Okay. This is a minimal Unity project. It has assets and project settings. Now let's open this in Unity. Now you'll see in a minute why I'll tell you in a minute why I deleted a couple of those folders. Here it is. Continue. And if this is working, we should have a blank project that we can work with. Here it is. Now,
So you want us to go into Unity now?
now what you can do to follow along here, let me get this ready to follow along. Yeah, I can look at my monitor. So now what we're going to do is I don't want to mess up what we did in the last class, so now I'm going to create a branch. So see, I reset back to this blank page. You didn't see what it was later on. You're going to get to that in a minute, but we're going to get to that a little later. But we're reset back to where we were. Now also, we'll notice that if I open up this folder again, QB, here it is. See, look, now there's these folders again called library and temp that I had deleted. Here they're back. What that is Unity, every time you open it, it takes your stuff in your assets and it processes it and it makes this folder called library, but you don't want to store that on the repository because your own workstation will make it each time. So what I have in the root folder here of the repository is a file called ignore.conf, and basically it just lists a few things I want to ignore, and that's one of them. Watch one moment, I'll show you how that works. It's a little advanced, but I don't want to delete that stuff without explaining why I'm doing it. See, it's just a file that has those words in it, library, temp, and build, and it means don't care about that stuff, don't store it. And that's why I deleted it, and you won't see that in the repository. So with those being there in this file that exists in the root of your Plastic SCM repo, it won't care about that stuff. So now here we are, we've got a blank folder, and now I'm going to make a branch. And that is what you'll switch to. So I'm going to do create branch from this change set. I'm going to call it Real World VR class number 2. Oh, I can't put number in there. Class 2, oh, again, there's pending changes, because there's always pending changes. When you open something in Unity, you got to undo them. Now, in the Branch Explorer, see, we got this new node here. I'm going to right-click on it, and this is what you guys can do. You can right-click on that. You should see it. If you don't see it, hit there's a little refresh arrow button at the top left right here. Now you should all see that. This.
Oh, that little tiny one.
Yeah. And now I'm going to say switch workspace to this change set. And now I've got the little home arrow there. And you all should be able to get there, too.
Now, we have two
I don't see
branches.
it.
What did you hit the refresh on the you're in the graph, right?
You know where's the refresh the Mac?
So.
Oh wait, what happened with Art? Did somebody else make a branch?
I think I did.
No,
Yeah, I did.
Somebody made RW
And then I
class 2?
deleted it.
Okay. And somebody else made a branch. You know,
I thought
okay.
that's what we were supposed to
Look,
do.
there's all different things going on here.
I made a branch.
Okay, let's just follow instructions.
That's what we were doing. We were making a branch.
I'm sorry, I was unclear. I'm going to make a branch, and you're going to all switch to it. That's a very interesting approach. You could conceivably all make your own branch, but let's do that. We don't have time for that. If it was an all-day class, I'd do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete everyone's branches but mine. But see, this is what's great about this. I'm not worried about anything getting messed up here because it's all tracked. So now there should be one branch called Real World VR Class 2, and you should all have it if you refresh. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Right-click on it and set it and say switch workspace to this branch.
So why is the house on that?
Because I did switch workspace to this branch. And what that means is the house means that this folder is representative of this node right here in the project. Like we're at that state, meaning I could right click on this one and switch, and I would be right back to where I was at the end of last class with everything done, like a cooking show. We don't need to do that. Okay, so is everyone there? Did everyone switch? Now, if you open up in Unity, you should open up and be at the project. If you then you have to go to Unity and you have to navigate to this folder on your drive wherever the workspace is. Do you know where the workspace is?
Where does it create the workspace?
Well, in the Branch Explorer, it'll tell you the path up top. See, it says workspace path right here on the screen. Up top, it says where it is.
So you want us all to create a new branch from this?
No. Just switch to my branch.
Okay.
Switch to my branch and open up Unity. And I'm going to move on and help your neighbor if you got it and they don't. Okay. So we've got a new Unity project. We added it to Plastic. Now what we're going to do, and I got to fly through this, we don't have much time, is I'm going to show how you can pull something from the Unity Asset Store that has no relation to VR, and we're going to take it and we're going to bring it into our project and we're going to repurpose it for VR. We're going to make a VR experience out of it that's actually playable and fun to play, like now, okay? So the Unity Asset Store is huge. It's just changes the game for people like us. Everyone know what that is. There's a place online that you can get stuff for Unity. And even though it's been there for years, and even though many of the things there are not initially designed for VR, many things can be repurposed and used very well in VR experience. So let's pull an asset and build a game around it. And I'm going to show some VR-specific considerations, like the way that you control your camera and several other things that come to play with VR. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to Window, Asset Store. Now, you all don't have this, but that's okay, because you will have it after I check it in. Window, Asset Store. And this will show the things that I've gotten off of the Unity Asset Store in the past, and we're going to use one of them. So there's this thing that I got a while back called the Complete Platformer Kit, where it's Complete Physics Platformer Kit. It was just this cool little thing that gives you like this third-person perspective guy running around and jumping in the classic like Mario 64 kind of a style. So it gives you like that's why I call it QB, because I thought this guy was really cute. I'm going to take him, make him mine. And so in here, you can see what this thing looks like. This doesn't really look initially like it's a VR thing, but it's a little guy that can run around and jump on things and break things and stuff like that. And it's already built for you, okay? And so I downloaded this a while back. It was 25 bucks. And I'm going to now import it into this project. And when I check that in, so it's going to import this.
Oh, we get it too?
You're going to get it too, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Don't publish it and make money on it, because you're using it under the Pixel Router VR license, as it were. So I'm checking this in. I'm downloading this into the project. So now, see, put this folder, Physics Platformer Kit, and here if I go to Scenes here, we can make sure it worked, because if we just open up the 3D demo scene that it comes with, we should hit play, and now we've got this little guy, all right? Now you might say, this isn't a VR game, this is a third-person game. What are we going to do with this? But we've got this thing that's actually already really kind of cool and fun, right?
Oh my God, that
You've got all this fun stuff you can do, but we're gonna VR this thing up right now. So see, it gives you all this stuff like jumping on things and trampolines and collecting, and it's fun. And so we have that now.
How do I get it to
I'm going to show you right now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going here to my Pending Changes tab. You see here, I went to Pending Changes, and I hit like this. You don't have them because I have them. And see, it shows everything I added. And so all that stuff that or it will, because I checked this box here, and all that stuff I added, it's going to add it to the project. And I'm going to say, and I'm going to put a note here. It's going to say, adding platformer kit. Check in. And it's now sending all of that stuff over wires and fiber optic cables. And it shouldn't take too long, hopefully. I think it's going to go faster than that. I don't think it's going to take all as long as it looks like it's going to take there. There we go.
So you did the little arrow to
Yeah,
check it.
I did
refresh
just to see what I've added. Now you didn't have that stuff because you didn't add it, but you're going to be able to get it in a minute. And you're going to see, you will have your first checkout. Confirming check-in operation. And now if everybody, as soon as it's done, goes back to the Branch Explorer, Here it is. Now, should it add to that? Yeah. There it is. So now, if everyone hits refresh,
On which?
on here, if you hit like this,
In plastic?
yeah.
Okay.
Now,
So I come up with this dialog box with the files for Qt. How do I transfer it to Unity?
wait, one moment, 1 second. Let me try one thing. Create folder. Scenes. Let me save one thing here. Save scene as. I'm gonna check in one more time to make it clear. One moment. What I'm doing is I'm making a copy of that demo scene to make it my own. Now I'm going to check that in. We should see one more node here. Adding main scene, and that's the one you'll check out. Here we go. I don't know why. Sometimes it makes you check in twice. But now if we go to Branch Explorer there, now you should see these other nodes. And the house should be on the first one, but there should be 2 more. You see it?
My house is still like up in the...
Yeah, mine too.
Oh wait, did you don't see the? You're in Real World VR.
The house had moved down when I made it the switch, but then after this was added, it jumped back to the
Where did
second.
you get your house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
I just clicked on
refresh on
this.
that. There, now he's got it. You've got it. Who doesn't have it? You've got it. You just got to right click on that and switch. There, you right click on that and switch to that. You're all set. Right click and say switch workspace to this change set.
So it'd be
Everyone,
the
yeah.
last node, right?
Everyone switch the
Maybe
workspace.
this last node that
How are you there?
pull from, right?
Oh, you're still
Maybe,
getting.
like, switch that first.
Yeah, the last node is the
Yeah,
change set.
yeah. Right click on the last node and say switch workspace to this change set. Now, hopefully that's not going to kill my line again.
It says there's
You're gonna leave
pending
this in
changes.
the repo.
So when it says there's pending changes.
Oh, go to pending. Anyone that says pending changes, what you do is you go to the pending changes tab,
Yeah.
and then you make sure that everything is selected and checked off, and say undo changes at
Okay,
the top.
because I really
Change.
No,
Yeah,
no,
but I don't know what they are.
Okay, you're getting it.
No,
You're
he's
you're-
getting it.
okay,
I'm Donna,
cool.
by the way.
I think it's
What- what's your
something
name?
below.
Yeah, did you do the
Sam.
undo
Donna.
pending changes?
I have my uncle's
Now
name,
say
Sam.
switch workspace to this change
So
set.
Is there a way?
Oh yeah, it says
Yeah, you're on the way.
home there, is that what you
Okay,
It might take a
so-
little while because everyone's pulling from my little home computer right now.
I'm a little bit confused on.
What's going
on? Okay.
All right,
But
you
you
want to
can,
go to
that
there
one should be here, right?
and right click on that?
Yeah, so.
Right, or is it because it's a Mac? Is there a right, how do you right click on that?
Actually.
But maybe up here it
Yeah,
has
the right. Oh, just do switch workspace to this change set.
Yeah.
And if there's pending changes, you gotta go.
Are you at the?
Go for it.
Yeah.
I think it's doing it.
So, oh, yeah.
Did you have to press?
I think it's working.
Did you have to
Yeah.
press?
It might
or
take a
did you
little
just
bit.
right click?
You're already done. You're already done. All right. If you guys open up, Unity now, you should see that in your project.
'Cause I think that's what I did.
Yeah, you should see what I see.
It's just.
You have it, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's really weird. Oh,
Alright.
see?
I don't, I have this. I'll just turn my screen around. I don't want to
Okay.
screw you around like that.
Very weird.
Okay, I have the story there.
Yeah, are you in the right project?
Maybe not.
You're not, I don't think you're in the right project.
I'm gonna
Where,
just merge.
where's that scored?
No, I may not be because I
Yeah,
just
you
made
gotta
this
be
up.
in, no, you gotta be in, where is the
Right
plastic?
here, yeah.
So that's where you gotta open up that folder in Unity. See users, Donna, workspaces, real world VR, the class. So here you gotta go to open project. And, no, it's open.
That's pretty cool.
See, you guys are already in this, you're already getting a game out of this class. See, users, Donna,
To get the house.
workspaces,
Okay, go here and right click.
real world VR, the
I looked
class.
up a guy named SpongeBob.
QB.
Okay, and.
There, select folder.
In the water.
Now you'll be in there.
Right.
Yeah.
So like that's.
Okay.
Switch workspace to this change.
Yeah. All right. Now I gotta move. What?
That's it?
Yeah. No, we're there. No, we're gonna make this cool because it's already kind of cool.
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna keep on going here.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got this thing that now we wanna start making this work for VR. So how do you do that? Well, let's look at this. Let's get this working in here. Now, we all don't have VR headsets, but I'm going to show you how to do it right now.
I brought one.
Oh, you did bring one. All right. So here's what I'm going to do.
Disconnect and reconnect.
So I've got the scenes. You'll see there's a folder called scenes, and there's a scene called main, and that was just a copy of the demo scene in here. And you'll see in here somewhere there's a camera. There's a camera that's following this guy, right? And if we look over here in the world, there it is, main camera. Their project, you can't really see it up there because it's on the left, but there it is, main camera. Let me see if I can move this over a little bit. There. Let me deal with the fact that we don't have a full monitor up there. There we go. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a lot of stuff here. I'm going to say, this is bad project organization. So they just put a bunch of stuff here and it's all just lumped together. So I'm going to take all this stuff, I'm going to make a node here and call it level, and just put like everything in here that's not the camera and the guy on that, so we can close it up. We're going to put all this stuff that's not the camera and not the player onto a node called level. And now that's a nicer project right here. Now we got the player, we got the camera, and we got the level. Now the camera, right over here, is just a regular Unity camera. And in Unity, you know what you got to do to get VR to work? The most amazing thing, you got to go to build settings, you got to go to player settings, and there's this little thing here that says virtual reality supported. And you check it. And that's initially all you need to do to get it to work in the Oculus and the Gear VR, with a bunch of caveats. But see, I'm checking this box here in virtual, and again, this stuff, you can find this out later, don't worry about all the details here, but I'm going to do that. And so I checked virtual reality supported. Now, if I hit play, will it run on here? Will it come on the screen? Ah, look, there's something in here. And look at this.
Nice.
I'm already looking down at this guy, but you'll notice a couple things. See, he's running around, but I'm not following him. It broke. We were following him before. Now I'm not following him. You know why? Any idea why?
You're doing something on the keyboard.
Well, I was. No, but before, when I don't.
Camera's not attaching to the VR.
Well, something like that. Because remember, if we go to build settings and we turn off virtual reality, remember what the normal behavior is. And this is an example of the kind of thing you run into when you're doing VR. See, this thing's following him. And the reason it's following him is because if you look at the script on the camera, right here, on the camera, here's the camera, main camera, and there's a script attached to it called camera follow that follows the player, right? And you'll see as you move around, see up top, the position of the camera is changing, all those numbers are changing. But the problem is, when you switch to VR mode, VR mode takes over, and VR starts controlling the camera. So that script isn't working. So what are we going to do about that? Well, let's do this. Let me get rid of that build settings.
Doesn't have a tracker inside there.
So what we can do is we can just change this so that we have another node that follows the player and attach the camera to it, so the camera can move independently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an empty node here and call it camera rig. And this is a thing you do all the time in VR, is you have to do special stuff with the camera to get it to work with VR. And so I'm going to make a little blank node here called camera rig. And it's there at 000. Or actually, I'm going to put it.
VR setting on here. Is it under other settings?
I think it's player settings.
I didn't play. I just clicked on player settings. Where's the VR on this?
I'm going to copy the values from the camera and paste them into here so it's in the right place in the world. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that script, that camera follow script.
There we go. Thank you.
That's on the camera. I'm going to copy it off of the camera, and I'm going to go up to the camera rig and paste it onto this. So I just made a blank node that now has that ability to follow the player. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to take it off. I'm going to delete it from here, delete it from the camera. And that way it won't interfere with VR. And I'm going to take the main camera and attach it to the rig. So you get what I did? I made a holder for the camera that now can follow the player. And then, so you've got this thing that can follow the player, and now the camera will be freely attached to it. And I believe that it will follow the player. Let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. Oh, we're now in here, this is really cool. In a little bit, when we make it a little nicer, I'll invite people to come check this out. So now I'm here looking around, and in fact, even look, by default, look what happens when I turn my head left and right. Because of the way the script works, I've got this control scheme where I'm able to look to run around with this guy, and it looks already awesome. I'm in VR. This is like a really cool game in like 10 minutes, but it doesn't look so good. So let's make it look awesome now. I find it in VR, you got to make stuff look awesome.
So what is happening is you attach the camera to this thing that is following the player.
Yeah.
So now when you wear the head, you are moving around.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just an example of like the type of a problem you run into in VR, and you say, well, what do I do about that? Oh, well, I've got to make the VR work with it. How do you think creatively to do that? A little thing like this. Say, oh, we've got the script, put it on another object.
Where did you find the script, James?
It just came with it. It just came with this. It was part of this. You all have it. It was just camera follow.
Quick recap. So you put the camera on a empty game object, and you had the empty game object.
Here's the empty game object, camera ray, and I put the script on it. Because all that script is doing is moving the game object around relative to the player. And before it was on the camera, but now it's on this empty game object that's holding the camera. And so the camera can pivot freely. If you just picture it in real world, I'm not moving this camera around, but the camera can pivot. Cool. Thanks. And so there we go. Now, the next thing I want to show is I want to make this look way cooler. I want to start making this look cooler. Let's get this off here like this. We don't need that water filter on here. This is like, they just threw this together real quick, but we're going to show how I can actually make this look kind of cool already. So let's start making this look better. So I want to show something called image-based lighting. All right, and this is really good for VR. This is all those backgrounds you're talking about are special kind of images called HDR images, which you may have heard of, high dynamic range images, that are special kinds of images that you can use for lighting. And you can wrap your scene in them, and it will look really cool. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'll show you this little gallery that has all of these images that you can use for your own games. And I'll show you how to take this. This is an amazing resource. I'm basically giving away the bacon of how I built all of Zone. So SIBL, Smart Image-Based Lighting.
Do you have to pay for them?
No, these are just here. And so you pick these things. These are all different things here. And I'm going to show how you can take these and use them and make them use some really kind of cool techniques to make them into more abstract or game usable things that maybe you don't necessarily want a Tokyo subway station, but maybe you want something that looks sort of like it. And so here's an example. I'm just downloading this one called Tokyo Big Sight. And it's 18.9 megabytes. That should tell you that's a pretty big image, right? And so I'm downloading this thing, and while it's downloading, I'll do the cooking show version, and I have it right here. Look, the cake is done, and here it is. So this image here is called Tokyo Big Sight 3.HDR. And these HDR images are your friends in VR. This is not a JPEG. This is a different type of an image. And what this is, you'll see here, at this point, this looks like it could be a JPEG, but I want to show you how this is different. In Photoshop, you'll see the mode here, it says 32 bits a channel, meaning that's a 128-bit image rather than a 32-bit channel, because 32-bit image, because there's 3 channels, red, green, and blue. And what that means is this image has more to it that can meet the eye, which means it can store more values of light and darkness. So watch what happens in Photoshop when I go to the exposure, and I drag the exposure. Watch the bright parts. Watch the bright image. See, as I can make it darker, they stay bright. You see, you can't do that with a regular image, right? If you did that with a JPEG, they would all get dark right away. But this, and watch the dark stuff, like in the darker stuff, as you go brighter and brighter, it doesn't blow out. You see down here, there's all this shadow detail that's in there. And so even though the monitors that we have can't display all this, this was made by somebody shooting 3 or 4 or 5 exposures at different levels with the camera and fusing them together in this format that's particularly usable by Unity, because when you wrap your scene in it, in VR, it's all the more important. It looks really, really cool because it can use all that information to make your surfaces really shine and look right. So what I'm going to show you here now is a couple techniques I've done I've come up with to be able to take images like this and make them more usable for a game. So for instance, I'm just going to go real fast here, and let's make this our own. So we don't want to just take this Tokyo subway station. It's just too kind of recognizable. So I'm going to do first I'm going to make it less recognizable by blurring it nicely. I just want to make it like a cool environment. So I'm going to go like this, maybe like a 16 pixel blur. And now this is image size is 3200 by 1600. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a region. I'm going to do 1600 by 1600. And now you see I did it half. I just selected half of the image. So now I'm going to go like this, Control C, Control V. Wait. It's right here. And now I'm going to Control C that. There. Now I've got this layer here that now I can move like this. And now I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to say Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. And now I'm going to do the same thing with, now remember, this is going to get wrapped around our whole image, our whole sphere. So now I'm going to do it again, 3200. I'm just showing how you can take something recognizable and make it into a more, like, think of it like a set, like a lighting set. 1600 px. So now I'm going to take this again. Oh, 16 by 16. 3200 by 1600. There we go. 1600 px. What's the matter there? 3200 by 16. Why is it not selecting the whole thing? One moment. Normal. Fixed size. I want it to be 3200 by 1600. That's should only be half of it. Why is it selecting all of it? I don't know. All right, who can tell me what I'm doing wrong here? I want to set the fixed size.
Control D unselects.
Yeah, let's unselect. And for some reason, I'm selecting here, and I want to do a fixed ratio. Let's say.
Is there a problem because it's locked?
Is it locked? Yeah.
Oh, where did I do that? Oh, maybe it is. No, 2 to 1. Let's do 16 by 4.5. Ah, that'll do it. I think that'll do it, the ratio. So I want to take this top part here. Let me try that one more time with the size. 3200 by 1600, because the image size is what? The image size is 3200 by 1600. Oh, it's 3200 by 800, duh. No one caught it. You have failed my test. So now if I go up here to the top, I can do the same thing, copy and paste it. Now I've got this other layer that now I can go like this. Wait, why did it only copy half of it? Let me try this again.
You have to leave later.
We're step backwards.
I think you're okay. I think it was just, you had another layer
I'll
on
get
top,
it.
so you couldn't see it.
I'll get it. Let's do it this way. And now this bottom one, I'm going to say transform, flip vertical. And now we'll do the same thing one more time. We're going to do 1600 by 1600. Just slicing and dicing this thing. I know I lost my first move. I'm going to undo it. I'm going to do it again right now. 1600 by 1600 right here. Now I should be able to go like this. Wait, why?
You're merging.
No, I've got this. Oh, because I was on the wrong layer. I got to go back to the. I got to merge it. Right. Right. I've got to merge it first. So this I'm going to merge visible. Now I can do it. Now I got it. Now I'm going to go here like this. And now this one, I'm going to get rid of this crease by saying edit, just using symmetry here, edit, transform, flip horizontal. There. Now, I've got this really cool symmetrical thing that's going to look really cool because that's going to be front, back, left, and right, and it's going to surround us. So now I'm going to save this as we're going to save it into our project. And that's in C.
Do you put it in the assets?
Assets. I'm going to call it textures. And it's called, we're going to call it the station. And see, nobody knows you got that from the Civil Gallery. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go here into Unity, and we're going to use this as our sky. That's now our sky, and it's going to be the first step in making this look really cool.
What format did you save it in?
As an HDR image, .hdr, because Unity can read that. And so now here in textures, oh, sorry, I saved it as a PSD. I got to save it as an HDR. HDR, the station.hdr. There we go. Okay, there it is. There it is. There's this texture, and max size 4096 because it's bigger than 2048. That's enough. Now what we're going to do.
Do you always want to leave your textures compressed?
Actually, with these, I like to start with, actually, good call. Let's make that true color because compressed will give it some banding and stuff like that. On mobile, sometimes you might need to worry about making it compressed. But now we're going to create a new folder. And we're going to make a material that uses that texture. I'm just going to kind of fly here. And I'm going to make a new material. I'm going to call it the Station Sky. And that material is of type Skybox Cube Map. Oh, and that's one thing I forgot. The texture, you don't want it to be a texture type. You want it to be a cube map. And Unity, that way, recognizes that this is meant to be wrapped around the scene, and it does a lot of work that you used to have to do externally before, and it turns it into something called a cube map, which, see this? So now we've got this sort of light set that can be wrapped around the image.
It's really neat.
Yeah, it is. And now you can go to material. Now this station material is going to use that cube map, our only cube map. Here it is. So now that's kind of what we're going to be wrapped around our scene here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to open up a new, there's a tab here in Unity. If you don't have it, it's window lighting. And then the skybox, we're going to put that material on here. And last time I couldn't figure out why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? And it's because here on the camera, they had this special script called Skybox that was overriding it. And when I delete it, now already we've got. Why are we? Oh, the rift sometimes give me a little trouble here. I think it'll be back on in a minute.
Is there a reason you decided to blur it? Much?
Just because I just wanted sort of an abstract environment. You know, of course you don't need to. It's just sort of.
Yeah.
And it makes for cool reflections. Did it fry? I think it did. I'll be back in a minute. That's one thing I deal with all the time. It's just maybe it's better with the latest Rift, which I don't have yet, but it crashes Unity a decent amount when working. But I don't think I lost anything significantly here. And material. Textures. Skybox. Cube map. Station. Put that back into here in the lighting tab. Oh, wait, I gotta open up the scene. I do, don't I? Lighting. Material, here it is. And now I just gotta go here to the, oh, I lost all the rig stuff. Oh, here's a lesson. All this talk about, watch, I can do it in a moment here. All that talk, I didn't save my scene. All that talk about version control, right?
Yeah,
Hold on.
Hold
on, the camera rig. That's okay. We're gonna do this real quick. Main camera.
It gives us a chance to watch and see what it did.
Yeah. These component values. Main camera, save scene. Camera rig, main camera, and now this has the camera follow script is going to go on the camera rig. Paste component.
Undo my check. Just like delete it from the edge.
Main camera. There it is. Copy component.
So just delete this entire
Paste component is new. Now I'm going to take the one off of here, remove component, and I think we should be back to where we were, except I've just got to go here to the camera and take off that skybox script. I'm going to hit save, delete this guy, and let's see where we're at here. All right, so I don't have VR supported, but that's okay. We'll do that in a minute. But you can see we've got this sky out there now, but it's not affecting the world in any way. We want it to affect the world. We want the world to look like it's actually in this place, and right now it just looks yellow, right? So let's start doing that. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to put some kind of a texture on the floor. I'm going to use one, and I'm going to show you how to make it interact with this image-based lighting to look really cool. So I'm going to grab one from textures. Assets, create texture. So now we want to put something on the floor. I'm trying to remember what texture I used last time. I'm going to pull one from one of my other projects. We'll use it. Let's do workspaces. Assets. I'm going into one of my other projects. I'm going to find something to use on the floor here. View. Thumbnails. Let's try
version control for craziness.
hex tile.
Oh, yeah.
Is this one?
And so does it matter?
Ah, here we go. So I'm going to take something like this. See that? And with that image, and we're going to use this as our floor. I'm going to show you how to make it look really cool. So let's go back into our other project here, and I'll check all this stuff in a minute so you can have it. See, users, workspaces, real world VR, QB, assets, textures. I'm going to put this in here, hex tile. Now I'm going to make, see there it is. And so what I want is I want to put this on the floor. So this floor right here is right here. It's called cube. It should be called floor. And I'm going to put this material, I'm going to make a material on it and I'm going to make a material called floor. But this material, see, is of type standard. And what that means is it's the Unity standard shader, which means it can interact with this lighting. And so now I'm going to click on this and select that hex tile.
What are you clicking on?
I clicked on that little dot by albedo, because that's how you can plug in something to it. And so now I'm going to now drag this onto the floor. And so I'm going to go here. I'm going to say mesh render, materials, right here. Now, that's not quite right yet. So what we do is we go here, and we're going to say, let's make this 20 by 20, or 50 by 50. Let's do 50 by 50. And now we've got something that's starting to look better, but we can do better than this. And so what we're going to do here, first off, what we can do is we can go like this. We can adjust the metallic and smoothness. Watch what happens if we go all the way. If we go all the way metallic and smooth. Wait. Lighting. Build. It's going to make something called a reflection probe here. I went to the lighting tab. I hit build, but if I click auto, I won't need to. And so what it's doing, you know, it's generating something called a reflection probe, which will read into that sky, and then now look at that floor. Now, that just by that move,
Can I make it mirrored, the reflection?
I
so
can
that
make it completely mirrored. Yeah.
I don't know how long it's
watch
gonna
like
take to
this.
render.
It already is almost mirrored. I can go like this. If you go all the way, you've got something that is mirroring. You see that? Already. Now in VR, that looks really cool. Now I'm going to show you how you can make it even cooler. I'm going to use this tool here called Shader Map 3, and there's a bunch of tools that are like this. This is one that can process a texture and make something called a normal map from it that that interprets the texture in a way that will make it have more depth. So for instance, I'm going to go here to see.
Can I get the shader map off the Unity store, or is this something that
This is
third
I
party?
think I had to pay for this one, but there's tools. There's another one called. If you look up normal mapping tools, there's a bunch of them that do this. So I'm going to go Assets, Textures, and it's going to open up this hex tile. There it is, and see it's going to generate these maps which allow it. See how now there's actually depth on that?
Yeah.
Just from that image. So it interprets that image as something called a normal map, this blue map here, which is interpreted as light direction. And so now I say I want to save this. So I want to save these maps. I want to save them all. And so now you'll see here in the Unity project, here on textures, I've now got these other textures here. See this? So Sarah, I was showing how you can take this texture and turn it into something like this with this tool, Normal Mapper.
Oh.
And so now when I go to my material on the floor, and there's these other places to plug things in, see it says normal right here, I'm just going to drag the normal map and watch what happens. Well, first I got to click on this, and actually I don't have to click on it yet. I just have to go here to the floor. I have to go to the floor material. I have to go to the textures. I have to drag this onto normal map. And it says it's not marked as normal map, fix it? Yes. Now, if you tune this down between, like 0 is like no effect, but watch, I put a little bit of an effect. Now, you see there's actually, it kind of looks like there's some 3D effect onto this thing. And so that's, now let's tune this down a little bit. But now we've got something that already, just by making the floor a standard shader, that's quite an upgrade. Isn't that in a few minutes? And you need to have cool stuff like this in VR because it's VR.
Yeah, so I have a question.
Yeah.
Would you be able to use something like this on the Gear VR? Like, is it too
Absolutely.
expensive?
No, this is what you saw on here. That's exactly what I'm doing on here. It's not expensive. It's all tricks. All it's doing, the Gear VR is actually very good at textures. And this is all about textures. It's using textures to it's using textures. When it's actually just capturing a snapshot of what the camera sees in every direction and applying it to these pixels here.
I've heard that that you have problems with normal maps in VR, but I don't
can't
get
see
a
in that
clear
much.
answer
When you see problems like that, deal with them at the time. Now, what I'm going to do real quick here is I'm going to just go to all these other things in the world, and I'm going to. There's a whole bunch of other stuff in the world. I'm going to make another material, create material, and we're just going to make other stuff look at least better than it does right now, and we're going to call it boxes. And it is also going to be a standard shader. And I'm just going to put it on all this stuff that they have here, all these cubes in the environment. There's materials. Let's see what materials are on these right now. I'm just scrolling down. Yeah, so most of these, let's put these, all the ones that say default, diffuse. Let's just put a bunch of stuff, put it on a bunch of them. Materials like this. You'll see some stuff lit up now. Let's just put it on a bunch of stuff, even though it's going to be all the same material. There, boxes. Now I'm going to go to the boxes map. Let's change its color a little bit. Let's give it a little tint, and like this. Now we're going to make that stuff all a little shinier. And now already things are starting to look cooler in here. You see now everything, because it's the standard shader, is now in more than 15 minutes I could do some cooler stuff with this, but you get the idea. It's already now interacting with the lighting environment that we put in here.
So you use the same material that you did for the floor, except you...
No, I made a new material, but it's of the same type called the standard shader. It's called floor. And when you use the standard shader, it's just called boxes. All it is a blue material that I drag these sliders on. And so Unity does the rest. Unity does the rest. And what's cool about this is that if I were to take, for instance, I'll just show real quick, if I were to take workspaces, playground, assets, I'll look at one of the textures, the other textures I've got, And I'll pick one here, like one of my favorite ones, this one, this Grand Canyon one. And now I'm going to drag that in.
That's the one you used for the game?
That's the one, I think it might have been. So now if I take this one and I convert this one to a cube map, I'm going to show you how drastically you can make things change just by changing your lighting environment, your lighting cube map, because the standard shader reacts with all that stuff. So now, as soon as this is done, I'm going to go up here to Material, after it's processing this cube map.
So there's no hit on mobile if you just change the material and the texture. As long as you make the geometry simple.
Yeah, that's pretty much the name of the game.
That's what I love is the textures.
Yeah, totally. And so this is called
good.
Grand Canyon Sky, and it is of type cube map, skybox cube map, and we're going to set it to be the Grand Canyon cube map, and we're going to put that in the lighting environment right here.
Why were we using cube map again?
Now check this out. Now if I hit build again, I have to hit build because it's not on auto. It's going to rebake. See, it says building it down here, reflection probes, and you'll see it's going to update all this stuff as to be like it's in this place.
Where did you hit build?
Down here at the bottom right. You can normally keep this on auto actually, so you don't have to worry about this. So now the same place, the same game that we were in, looks like this. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you can actually just make different scenes and levels just by changing the skybox.
Actually, in Zone, I fade from one to the other in a level, so you're going from environment to environment. And this is very powerful for VR because guess what? We didn't put a single light in the scene, and lights are expensive. Now, you can put a single light in the scene, too, to give you some shadows. So, for instance, 3D object, directional light. And so now if I put a light in here, and a single light is usually good enough, and I'm going to say, no, I want some shadows. I want parts.
There was no light here. It was just
there was no light.
Box?
There was no light. Just the skybox. But see, now when I put a light in, see that shadow now?
Yeah.
So a really cool technique is to see where the sun's coming from, and you adjust your light direction to make it be. See now it looks like the sun is coming from over there. See where the sun is in the image up there? So now if you adjust your shadows, you can adjust your shadows to make your shadows fall in the direction that they would fall if the sun were really over there, like that. You see that?
Wow.
Yeah.
It doesn't really integrate with the environment.
And now it's mostly, now you got one light, but now look, you got the shadow of this guy running around, and now now I think we got to look at this in VR. Now let me check this in. I'm going to save scene. Okay, time to check stuff in now.
So every time you save scene, it checks.
No, it doesn't. It just saves it locally. So I'm still in danger of messing stuff up.
Okay.
So now I'm going to go to pending changes, and we can see everything that I changed. You see, here's all the stuff I added, and everything, the Photoshop files and everything. Lighting. And I'm going to say check in, and now you all have this.
Oh, look at the game I made.
Yeah, you all made the game in 2 hours. Okay. So it's loading 133 meg because it's got a bunch of stuff. So while it's doing that, so in what, 30, 40 minutes or so, I think it's a pretty economical use of time and resources to be able to take an asset. Now we enable VR mode. Now let's see what this looks like in the Rift. I wish I could just pass it around really easily and show everyone, but let's see if it works in here. Is this going to work? It's not going to break because, oh, I think the Rift, I got to plug this back in. I do most VR development without the headset on, and you just kind of put it on when you need to. And there it is, it's on. And it's not on yet. Why is it not on yet? Oculus HMD not present. It says it's present. I might need to restart Unity. Oculus Rift attached. And virtual reality supported. I might just need to restart Unity here. Yeah, let's try that. So the Oculus is attached. Now let's try restarting Unity, and hopefully it'll work.
So that's all you have to do to configure an
Why is it
Oculus
not-
is just click on that?
Pretty much. Bad configure libOBR not found. Cannot start with unsupported graphics API. Why is that not working? File. Build settings. We had it working. What happened here? We're in PC, Mac, Windows, player settings. Fix APIs for Windows. So let's try this. Directory.
Do you know games too?
Auto graphics API for Windows. Let's
Not
try
as good as
this.
his though. I've only been doing it for a year.
There. No.
So you don't have to
Are you
hit
selling
build or
it?
build and run?
Not yet.
No, you shouldn't have to. It should run right in
kind
here.
of thing,
And
VR
it's
jam.
not working right now. Let's see why
Yeah,
it's
I
not
was there. I
working.
was there. I remember seeing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which one
Why
did
is
you
it not
do?
working?
The Ant game. Did you try it? So the Gear VR and.
Let's try it again. Let's see if my other.
Is that the one where they? Well, there
Let's
was
see if
one
my other
where
project is
they
working
were
in
manipulating
VR.
something with the hands.
No, this is where you're in a third person, kind of like this, but you control a little ant and you go down a river.
Now this was another
Oh,
version
no,
I
didn't
made.
see
Let's see
it.
if it
I'm
works.
sorry. You know, there was like long lines.
Yeah, there
everywhere.
were tons of lines.
And I wasn't sure what was going on. Well, congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
And you built it for the gear, right? Because
Yeah.
that was the table
Yeah.
for the gear.
Any questions while I'm working through these technical troubles here?
When are we going to get this video?
Oh, if you want it, I can put it up.
Yes, please, please.
Yeah, for sure.
Cancel. Come on,
I
Unity.
have so many questions, probably not enough that could be answered.
Oh, go through the tutorials.
Yeah,
yes.
go through it.
And then
It's easy, isn't it?
for you, yes.
So you use
We'll get your
the
assignment.
standard shader on mobile, no problem?
So far, yes.
Yeah, because everyone always says, use the mobile diffuse shader or whatever.
I haven't.
And I just haven't.
So you just pick
had that
standard,
problem yet.
right? And then
Yeah,
you
that's
keep
like
it
when
for
it's
the sky.
automatically already set to.
Okay, as soon as this is done checking in, I'm gonna restart because something is up with my Oculus. Let's see if I can get anything to work on it. Workspaces. This was the one I built last time. Let's see if this still works.
You run this every month?
This is the
thought
second
this was the
time.
only time. Okay.
Yeah, this is.
I took this in advance because I thought you weren't going to run this until fall because there doesn't seem to be any classes listed. I might have to retake this class.
You have the video.
Yeah,
So-
I know. I got
so
that
when you,
too, but I got more questions now.
Made
I know
those
more.
updates, the house now, there's one to the right?
Yeah, you can
Should
switch.
we go and switch it?
It's
Videos
almost done
online, the
updating.
stuff
It's,
that he
it's,
does
it's
too
not
on
quite done. It's almost
YouTube
done.
page, so you can kind of.
Oh, James, you have a YouTube page, Pixel Router?
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of stuff up on there.
Are you
It's
Pixel
Pixel Router VR.
Pixel Router
Utah.
VR, okay.
So we have the animator.
I think I just use my Rift too much and it's starting to die.
Well, try to get a new one.
I know. Well, I have one at work. I have everything at work. I work at UVisits. It's called UVisit.
No, I saw, no, I've already tweeted about them. I met the guys there.
Yeah, well, I'm technical director there, so I spend all
Oh, I
day
didn't
playing
know
with
that.
VR.
I didn't know, I thought you were Pixel Router.
I am as well. I have people working on Zone while I'm at work. It's great.
What else do you have going on?
That's enough, believe me. Sarah was on a conference call with Olga and I on my drive into work, and we got right until we hit the Lincoln Tunnel.
You guys were working?
Well, I called her.
Pretty good.
No, I was driving, hands-free.
I was just waking up.
You did really well, considering.
Is it this hard of a taskmaster? Sarah, do this, do
This
that.
girl, I gotta brag about what you made. Where is it? So
I don't know the.
I met her a couple weeks ago at another event at AppNext. She does full stack development, like web stuff. And so she's helping us make an online leaderboard for scores. So when people do the Kickstarter, they all get a membership in this leaderboard.
Oh, good. Why are you doing Kickstarter when you work for a company that already makes enough money?
But what do you mean?
UVisit doesn't make any money.
Yeah, but I'm not you. I work for UVisit. I have my own game. We're doing a Kickstarter for the game.
For zones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I get it confused.
I don't own.
Could you go into optimizations for VR?
Yes, let's talk about that. As soon as this emerged from change.
He gets this worked out.
Because
you want to develop only for Samsung Gear, not for cardboard or the new Google
you need to
Daydream thing.
optimize like a ton for cardboard.
What happened?
You'll still need to optimize for Gear VR.
I thought it looked just as good as on the screen.
Well, that's probably due to
what
optimizations
happened?
that he was
Did
working
somebody
on.
make
Good
a new?
question.
Somebody make who's Aaron F? Somebody, okay. There's something going on weird here. I'm like,
invading the class.
let's delete this one.
Well, wasn't there somebody sitting there?
That's okay. That's
He just left?
Maybe.
Before leaking the repository.
delete this one. Yeah. Let's see. Let's delete this change that. Okay. Now I think I could check all that in, but let me not. I'm going to try one. I think it's worth. Restarting my computer once to see
Okay.
if the Rift will work again. It would be unfortunate if it doesn't. And we'll go. Let me talk about optimization while you're. Okay, optimization means making stuff. Basically, with VR, there's a lot of things you need to consider when you're drawing things on the screen. You want to be very optimal with that. In Unity, I just want to let you know you should be aware of this thing called a draw call. And a draw call is whenever you want to draw a particular thing in Unity, let's say you put a cube in the screen, that's a draw call. And especially on mobile, you only get about 80 of them. And so each one of these...
What do you mean? Which one is a draw call?
Okay, at first, before I did the optimizations on this thing, every one of these objects was at least one draw call and was more like 10, actually, or 5 to 10, depending on how...
One object is one draw call.
Unless there's more, the materials are complex, in which case there could be more draw calls.
Oh.
And so you got to really work on getting that budget down, getting that use down. And so I came up with a system, for instance, here that was able to batch all these arches together into one draw call. And so it's only one draw call instead of 70 draw calls. And so I actually came up with like a 10x increase in a 10x optimization, and for VR, these kind of things are really important. If you're just a regular developer, you might never need to care. But with VR, especially because they run at a high frame rate and you got to render things twice, it matters. So even a beginner developer should be aware of these things called draw calls, and that there's a way to make things to batch things together so that there's
set pass calls now too. Like if you go to the stats window in Unity, they don't call them. They used to call them draw calls, but now it's called set pass calls.
that might be something else. There's still a draw.
No, it's still it's they just changed.
Oh, did
the
they?
name.
Okay, maybe they.
Yeah, it's
So what are they
a
called
trick.
again?
So it's right if you're like looking
Set
at your
pass.
game window and you click on the stats. So you click on the stats windows. They call them set pass calls now, and then you have batching.
Well, batches is what I'm talking about.
Oh, so
batches. Yeah, batches is a draw call.
Oh, batches is a draw call.
And normally you'll say there'll be so many batches and say saved by batching 0. But
Right.
if you use certain techniques, you can get that way, way, way up.
So what's a set pass call?
Give me a minute. Let me load this thing up here, and
So you make your geometry as symmetrical or as simple as possible?
that's one part. That's one
So
way.
you had arches that were symmetrical.
Yeah, that's one way. Here we go. Let's see if this. I just want to get this to work in VR.
Do you
here.
kind of fake things that spots where people won't be going necessarily, but look like separate objects, you make them one?
Well, there's ways that you can, if you have a bunch of objects, you can do a command in Unity called combine that will combine them so it draws them as one. Let's see if this works here. Player settings, virtual reality supported, and I hope it works. Yeah, there we go. All right.
Okay. Okay.
So, who wants to see? Take a look in there. Just look around. Just look around the world. Look, you might need to look behind you because the guy's behind you. Like, turn around, turn around, because he's behind you. Keep going. There he is.
Oh, hi.
So look, you're running around a VR world we just made. Cool, huh? Yeah, here.
So the flickering, is that a texture on that?
That's something I don't know what it is. I have to see what it is. Okay, NVIDIA high definition output, set as default device. Yeah, if you look around, you'll find them. And so here we are. We have made a VR game that you all have, or you will have to be able to play with more. And there we go. And this also goes to show that VR games don't always have to be first-person games. Pretty cool, huh? Anybody else want to take a look in there?
James, how do you make, I see a lot of games on mobile, and there's someone running, and there's a straight road, and the scenery just keeps changing, so they jump up?
I'll tell you how to do that.
Okay.
Well, that's what I do in Zone. That's called procedural generation. And that's what's going on. That's what's going on in this. This is all generated that way. And it's basically, I make a bunch of little pieces beforehand and then lay them out before you, like on a treadmill. And that keeps changing and changing. It keeps repeating and repeating.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, like
you lay them all out?
I make pieces and then I lay them out and then I move them like a treadmill under you. So it's an illusion.
Yeah, but how do you do that?
Join the zone team and I'll let you know.
I'll join. Okay. but Jane,
Procedural generation is the idea of, rather than this is not procedural, this is laid out beforehand, right? But
So it's laid out.
it's laid out beforehand. But there's ways that you can make little building blocks that then are put together while the game's running, and that enables the gameplay to be more unpredictable. And really, that's why I love doing it.
I'll try.
what's it called?
That's the general term is procedural generation.
Thank you.
And it is 8:16, so I'm going to try to run, at least get through some of the other topical headings that I've got.
Yeah. Can you get through also the Cinema 4D?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, great.
We'll do that right now. We'll put something in this world. While everyone's looking, we're going to put something cool in this world right now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make something quick that we're going to put into here. Yeah. So modeling. Generally, if you're going to be making something in 3D, this person, the only modeling he did is actually none. He only made cubes and stuff in Unity, but there's a limit to what you can do in Unity. You're generally going to want to make something a little bit more interesting than cubes. And so I use Cinema 4D, but if you haven't used anything, I might suggest that you use Blender because it's free and it's also good. And if I didn't know this already, I'd probably use Blender. So one thing that matters in, is this still a battery?
Yeah, it's still good.
One thing that matters in VR is scale. So you have to make sure that things are scaled right. So in here, I'm going to set my scale to meters. Because in VR, you're actually thinking about you're 6 feet tall or whatever it is, because the fact that you have a certain separation on your eyes kind of sets the scale for the world that you're in. So the stuff that you make in a regular game, it doesn't matter if it's all a mile high. If it's all relative, no one would know. But in VR, it does matter, especially because of the 3D stereo effects that you have. Just like with regular vision, you get most of that stuff up close. And so you want to scale things kind of realistically. So let's make something. First, we set our project to meters, and we'll just make something to put in the scene. Let's say, let's just make a torus like this, and let's just make an arch. I'll show you sort of how I make like one of those arches that you can run under. And so I'm going to make a torus, and I'm going to say, let's make it like this. And then in VR, we want to be really conscious about how many polygons we have. So I'm going to delete this thing called the Fong tag, so you can see all of the shapes, the actual surfaces on here, and you can see all those add up. And so I like, for mobile VR, it's my kind of element of art style that happens to be performant, of seeing how low can I go with these things and make something cool, right? Like, let's make something cool, like that has 8 segments, and the pipe segments, what's it look like with 3, 4, 5? Let's see, let's go like that. Now, I've got this thing here, and the radius, I only want the radius not to be 200 meters, but let's make it 10 meters, and the pipe radius 1 meter. And we're going to go down in here. That way it's 30 feet. It's going to be like a 30, you can picture like what that is. It's a couple sides of this room, and we're going to go this 4 meters. Let's go to 2.5, something like that. Now I've got this thing, this torus. I'm going to then hit this little button here that will, what you call, sort of bake it down. Now I'm going to go in here. I'm going to select all the pieces that are below the surface of the ground, as it were. I'm going to select like this with a rectangle selection. I'm just going to go here and go like this. And now I'm going to delete. And now I've got an arch. All right? And now we're going to make a material on it and just put any old material on it. We don't really care because we're going to change it in Unity, but we'll call it arch. So now I've got that. I'm going to do save as. And now I'm going to save it into the project. And so we just made a thing, and if you were using Blender, it would be very similar, the process.
What is the format?
Is it Blender free?
I'll tell you, yeah, Blender's free, and we're going to use a format that Blender would use too. There's a universal format that you use called, let me see, can I put this over here? So I don't have to keep going to it, it doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to go Assets. Now I'm going to make a new folder here called Models. And we're going to call it Arch. Oh, actually, I want to do this special way of saving called Save Project with Assets that puts it in its own folder. And we're going to call it Arch. Now that I've saved the .c4d file, I also want to export it as FBX. That's the format that you always want to use, arch.fbx. And now I'm going to go back into here. FBX is the format, and I think
That's the Unity format?
yeah, and I think let me do this. And models. Now we should have this model here, this arch. And there's this arch, and we should be able to take this model here, and you can see it down here. We just brought it into Unity. We just made a thing, and I'm going to bring it into here, and there it is. And now we've got a thing in the world.
Yes.
Right? Now let's put a new material
Now you're
on
gonna
it.
be gaming.
Material, create material, and we're going to say arch. And now arch, sometimes I like to just see what random textures I happen to have in my folder. And we'll do marble, because it came with this project. And we're going to do 1010, like tiling on it. And we're going to just put this, and you can actually just drag it right onto the arch like this. All right, let's do 20, 20, and let's make it a little shinier. And again, we could do all that other stuff with the making. We could make it. Let's make another couple of them here. So if I do this, wait. Oh, also, what I want to put on the arch, I want to put a collider on it. And that you have to put something called a mesh collider, and that way you can run into it, and it can be interacted with like that. Oh, another thing you want to do is after you have a thing, you don't want to start making copies of it. You want to make a folder in your called prefabs, and then you take your thing that you have, like your arch, and you drag it into there. And now you've got like this one copy that you can drag out into the scene, and that way when you make changes to it, it'll change all of them. And so now we've got.
It's just simply naming a folder called prefabs.
Oh, you can call it anything. It's just by dragging something from your scene into your asset folder. It does that. It makes it into a prefab. So now let's hit play, and we are now and now that's cool because now we have stuff to run under. Oh, you gotta check this out. So now you're in here. We've got something to run under, and we made a model in a few minutes.
Can you use a material in Cinema 4D or?
Not, you can't. You really have to redo the material. Turn around, you'll see it because they're different. Turn around all the way around because it's kind of back. You're kind of looking backwards. But if you look up, there you are.
You don't have time to show how you did the sky in Cinema 4D, do you? Like that one?
Probably not. I'd love to show that.
That was really cool.
Yeah. So here we made a thing. All right. That's enough modeling for right now because we only have not much time left. Can everyone stay like kind of closer to 9 or? Is
Yes, I can.
Okay. So here we go. We made a thing. And then also while I'm here, because I cannot resist doing it. I'm going to go to the textures here. Hold on. I'll hit play on it. I'll hit play on it in a minute. It's not running right now, but in a minute it will be. So what I want to do is I just want to go to this arch, and I want to go to the arch material, and I want to find this map here, this marble, and show it in the Explorer, and I want to put it through this thing because it just takes a minute.
What is the name of that tool again?
This is called Shader Map 3, and so I'm just opening this up, and it's called. What was it called? Metal 1? Is that metal? Marble. Marble. Save all. Did it do it? Here, save all. It's done. Tell me when you got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now we've got all these other ones here. We go to our materials. Arch. And now we go to normal map. And marble and O, fix now.
You don't have to go to the prefab?
No, because we just changed the material. And because it's a prefab and that material's on it, now you can look around in there. Let's find one of those arches. You got to turn to your left 90 degrees to see the guy, because that's kind of forward as far as it's concerned. So we've got some arches that look kind of cool. They got a little bit of texture to them. And what happens if we go off the world?
What
does
happens?
happen?
What happens?
Where'd he go?
Let's try to die.
I think he dies and comes back. I think he like, I'm trying to run off the world. Ah! Yeah, he comes back. All right, cool. So let me cover some other a few other things here. Let's do. One moment. So that's image-based lighting, basic modeling, we did it, and scale matters. You want to use as few polygons as you can generally for most VR types of things. We made a simple 3D thing. And this is something I call vertex to wow factor. You know, vertex is a point. I say, what's the fewest number of points you can use to get someone to say wow? That's your,
And that was just a matter of you sitting there playing around with the
yeah, like I
sliders.
just made it less and less and less until it was, you know, rather than most people with most games these days, like, oh, let's put more and more and more, and to try to make something
No,
realistic.
fewer's
yeah,
better
fewer's
for
better. Be
mobile.
primitive, and with VR, it really works really well in VR. Draw calls, we talked about this a little bit. You want as few draw calls as possible. That's there's basically, if you put a bunch of stuff in your scene and they have very few points, it will automatically batch them for you if it's under less than 300 points. Too much. I can't go into more detail right now, but that's a whole other discussion. But if you keep your stuff simple, that's a good start. You can also profile, which Unity has this thing. I just want to mention that Unity has this window called the profiler, that when you run it, when you run your Unity project and you have the profiler on, see this graph here? What it does is for each frame, you can pause it and it gives you a list of what's doing what and what's taking time.
So you can find out how
Yeah.
many draw calls there are.
And you can find out draw calls. You can find out what's taking too much. What's your limiting factor. Other than that, oh, music and sound. Let's make a sound check. Let's make a sound, just because this is part of VR. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Hold on. Okay, real quick.
Yeah,
We're gonna make it. I mean,
guys, bear with me.
Making music is a bigger project than you can really cover accurately in 15 minutes, but I'll show you the concept of something that is a big part of what I do. It's loading up. Does anybody have any musical experience? Does anybody know like what the one chord is? Does anybody know like concept like a root? Anything? Any music?
Yeah.
Anyone play piano?
I play the drums.
Oh, can you play the drums? All right.
I don't know if they count as musicians.
Yeah, totally. Okay, this is
They say
loading.
we hang
Ableton's
out
loading.
with
So
musicians.
it's loaded. I'm loading this program Ableton, which is just such an awesome program for making music. It's just the best.
Well, can we do VJing? I mean, whatever we do with VR. Is there a possible way of doing it that you don't have a headset?
Like, what do you mean?
I mean, can we set it so that we can run around VR worlds and project it on a screen and then have the music interactive?
I'm working on all of that, sort of. What I really want to do is I want to combine VJing and DJing with Zone in the game. I want to be able to generate the world real time with like DJ and DJ controls, so people in a live arena can like experience it all
cool.
real
Yes,
time.
exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna. I'm working on that. Okay, so am I? Oh, what happened here?
Okay.
Something's messed up with my. That's all right. So I can't export. I can't save what I'm doing.
Your trial.
Something messed up here, but that's okay. Because what I'll do is I'll just show how I did what I did before, and I'll use the final output
Same
I did
sound
before.
output
So here I'm going to go here at 120 BPM, and I'm going to put instruments, Spire, Serum, and I'm putting an instrument here. This is an awesome instrument, the Spire it's called, and I'm going to put a pad on here of some sort. And now I'm going to go here to MIDI, and I'm going to make what's something that's called the 5-1 progression in G. So the one, I can't go into it too much, but basically, I'll just do it. Hold on. I'll just make something that sounds cool with this. This is real world VR, and it's
You like reads that?
no, I just
Oh.
take that as notes to remind what I did. So basically, I'm just going to make a 16 bar progression, and this is going to strike these notes here. This one, F, D3, A2. So it's just playing 3 notes, and then it's going to go G3, D3, B2. Okay, so this is just going to play 3 notes and another 3 notes. And the reason I chose these is this is what's called the 5-1 progression. You know how like music will go, it'll resolve and end at something. That's called the 1 chord. It's like where rest is, and that's what this second one is. And the first one is the 5, which is called the dominant, which is like there's a little tension there. And just by doing that, you get something that's like a good place to start when you are making like an ambient environment for something. So let's just see what happens when I play that. Oh, why is it not outputting? I know I gotta change it to output here. Now watch. So little guy's running around. Now watch, he's a little bit of tension. I'll hear it a moment. See, he's running around. now we're gonna do one other thing with that. I'm gonna duplicate that. And I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna put it on, I'm gonna take those same notes and I'm gonna put it on an arpeggiator. You know what arpeggiator is? It's something that takes the notes and runs them one at a time, and they're just too much fun for how easy they are. So I'm gonna put an arpeggiator on 8 notes, and now it's the same notes, but I'm gonna do like this, I'm gonna go like this, I'm gonna go. There we go. Sounds like it goes to that world, doesn't it? So we just made that. Okay, now let's pretend I could save and I export that.
I don't think it goes with QB though. QB's more like
I'm doing something different. I'm trying to elevate QB.
What did you call it? 5-2?
QB completed. That was called the 5-1 progression. And so if I put my assets here, music, that was called the QB theme, and I'll just show you. Let's say I had that, how I would put it into the world. I would do it like this. I would go here into C, users, James, app data. Wait, C, users, James, workspaces, real world VR as a class, QB, assets. I'm gonna make a new folder here called music. And you can make it in Windows or in Unity, it doesn't matter, like you can type it in here. And now I'm gonna go like this and copy that in. Now if we go here, now we've got, and you could have gotten music somewhere else, etc. But the point is that that somehow music was created. And now if we go to music here, we can see, there it is, the QB theme right there. It's in there, and now what you can do is you can make a new object here and just call it music. And then you can attach to the component, you can add a component to it called audio source. And then I'm just gonna put that music file in the audio source, and I tell it, see it says play on awake right here, that means it will play as soon as it starts up, and we'll make it a little quieter. Now I think we will have music in our, why is it not playing? Where'd it go? There it is.
Did you
music,
attach the clip?
audio source, play on awake.
Oh, you gotta change what's playing from Middleton. You gotta.
I don't think so, because I've got other sound in here. Let's see. Do I have a audio listener on here? Player. I do. Let's see why is it not playing. Oh, you know what? It might be because it's actually too far away for it, and it's. Let me put it on here. Audio. Let me put it on the camera because it might be trying to like fade it out because it's not located where the camera is. So I'm just going to put it right here on
Is
the
the sound attached to the camera then?
It is. In this case, it follows it around, and so now.
So it does it binaural thing too, right? The audio.
Now I think it needs to. It's got the other issue where I gotta shut this down and lose all that beautiful sound's gone forever.
Is that simple? That's all you do? You make your little music?
Yeah, it's so simple. That's it. No, why do we not have sound at all now?
James, can you send that little formula? Your, was it your 5?
Let's try this again. Yeah, I can post that. Okay, let's see if we have sound here on the computer at all. Yeah, it's there, so why did we not? That's the one I made it last week. So let's oh, not live. Wrong one. End task, let's try it again. Open up Unity, and now let's see. It might have been because Ableton was. Ah, here we go. So who's got this? So now we've got a complete little experience. We're running around as this guy, and that's our little beginning of our VR game. We put sound in. Now, what else do I have on here? Well, it's beyond the scope of this 360 video in Unity, but I'll show you something else that you can do. And that is, I'll show you the output of it. And that is, check this out, this is really cool. One thing I do at work, at UVisit, at my day job, is I work with 360 video a lot. And so I've been working on bringing video into the game world. And so,
yeah, you had a real cool presentation.
Platformer VR video, let's see if this works. Now, check this. Oh, wait, is it not going to play?
Did you bring it in? I didn't see
No,
it.
it should work, but I can do it in here. I can open it like this. Platformer VR video, it will work in Unity. For some reason it's not working outside of Unity, but I can do it like this. And now what I'm doing here is I took video that we shot of Times Square in 360 and wrapped the world in that. Wow. So now QB is running around Times Square, and I find that doing that is, putting video in a world makes the video look really cool because it makes it feel huge when it's wrapped around a world.
How did you do that, James?
Let's see. Just like the stuff I'm doing here, I just spent some more time doing it. Now look at this. I don't know why it's dark down there, but look at that.
So you just shot it on a VR camera?
Yeah, I think it needs to bake. No, it just needs to bake the light, I think. Window, lighting.
I still don't understand how you
There we go.
video in. You replace the skybox.
Basically,
with
the skybox is just wrapped. There we go. The skybox is just, instead of a single image, it's
Right,
playing
but
30
video.
images a second as video. And so now you've got this guy running around, which you got to see that. Look at that. Check, look here. Who wants to look? Look.
I want to see it.
Look in there.
Is some mono 360 video?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, just look around and see if it doesn't look huge.
It looks huge. It looks like you did so much work for this, and you didn't.
How did you get t-shirts 360 degree?
How did I get it? We shoot it at work. That's what we do. I mean, now you can get little devices.
What's your lens?
Rico, this we use with a bunch of GoPros. Pretty cool, huh? And so this is but it's not that hard. It's not that hard to.
Well, I'm going to buy the texture maker tonight.
Yeah.
The Easy Movie Texture Maker.
Yeah, Easy Movie Texture. You can do this with it.
It looks fabulous.
Yeah. So that's very VR right there.
It is.
All right. Thank you. Cool, huh?
I'm still confused as how
Okay.
that happened.
All that is a big globe that plays video on it.
Okay, so instead of doing the HDR
It's the final thing I have in here. I'm gonna run through it real quick.
Okay.
Let me show you real quick. I have a couple slides on that, on video for VR. Here, 360 video in Unity. All you really need is one of these guys to start playing with it. It's called a Rico Theta, the Rico Theta S. And what you can do with it, and this plugin called Easy Movie Texture, that video is simply a bunch of images. Video is just images one after the other. We already saw how to put one image around. So using this plugin, it can read a video and essentially replace that image 30 times a second, and that is what video is, except it's 360 video.
What is the plugin?
Easy Movie Texture, it's called.
Have you heard of an asset called VR Panorama?
I haven't played with it yet, but that's to
Really-
capture panoramas.
You can capture and then export to YouTube.
Yeah,
You
I
can
know.
capture
I can't wait to play with that. I was talking about that today. I'm going to use that, I think, for the trailer for Kickstarter for Zone. Absolutely.
What is
That's
it
a good,
called?
VR Panorama.
panorama. It allows you to capture video of your VR world that you made. So here, 360 video is video which has been stitched and projected. These are the terms. It's usually shot with multiple cameras, but can work with the Ricoh Theta S. Projection refers to how the spherical image is mapped to a rectangular plane. So this is what Theta S shoots. When I was out snowboarding, I had this guy, I said, can you film me going off the jump? And then what you end up getting when you run it through the project, through the stitcher is this. And then in Unity, you just create a sphere and you create a material and you map that image onto it. And with Easy Movie Texture, it will play and you've got video playing in Unity, which I didn't show right now. But you can do that. And that's it.
Can you run through the little Times Square with a QB? Running through it again?
Oh yeah, you want to see that?
Are we gonna be able to see those slides again? Or?
Yeah, I'll post
Okay.
this up on.
Does it lose a lot of the quality when you make that?
Here you go. I'll look up here.
Did those files update in the plastic test?
It didn't, and I will update them. It failed because that was merged at one time. So there we go. For some reason, the light went dim again. It's just dim there, but that's Times Square. Cool, huh? All right.
Can you look around, please?
Yes, I can. Oh, sorry, I'm messing your shot up. There we go. Looking around. Oh, and I put those buildings in here. Those are actually, I put them in Unity. Yeah.
That they don't.
But that was easy too. I just imported them from. Does that sound more like QB?
And he's like, the first time in New York City.
He's like, oh, I'm here. QB in the big city. QB goes to Manhattan. Ah, he's swimming. Wait, there's a trampoline. Can I get out of here? It's kind of hard when I'm not driving. Oh, you know what? It's because when you're turning, it's always turning them around. So, what do you want to talk? I mean, we got a few more minutes. You want to talk about anything, or are we good? Are you good? Are you saturated? Well, you can ask me whatever, like after this, or like on Basecamp or something.
I'm going to Iceland, and I want to take like panorama pictures like you're creating for the sky map. And I bought this GoPro knockoff, but the degree of angle is I think 170. It doesn't necessarily cover.
It doesn't. It's not.
It doesn't.
Really.
It's 20 degrees plus the overlap.
Yeah, you need a special camera for it. You need.
Well, I didn't want to buy the Ricoh because I didn't think it was really that great of a camera.
It's not awesome. It's not awesome.
I mean, were they going to come out with a newer one?
The Theta S is the newer one, and it's it's the best one you can buy.
But there was one more that you said was about to come out.
Nikon was making one, but I don't know if it's out yet. And GoPro just released a rig for it.
What about that Samsung one that's coming out? The
Samsung, it's not. But I don't know if you can buy it today.
Right,
yeah, but
what do you think about it? I mean, did you see?
They're just going to get better and better. They're going to get better and better.
Well, I have the cheapy ones. It's like a knockoff of the GoPro, and I was going to rubber band them together and just like fudge around the edges with the cloning.
It's not that easy. It's hard. It takes hours and hours to do that when you do it yourself. This is what we do at work all day. And sometimes it'll take like 10 hours, it's like many hours per hour of video that you shot just to stitch them all together. You want to get a professional rig that shoots properly. Like, don't try to do it yourself.
What's the best rig and get the cheapest?
You can 3D print a rig. We 3D print rigs at work.
That's what I want.
If you want it, if you're into 3D printing, yeah, sure, you can go for all that. But just realize there's a bunch of hours in there and time compared to like the Ricoh Theta, which you can just shoot and get something at least.
I know, but I'm just waiting for the quality. I mean, wasn't too happy with the.
Yeah,
I mean, I know I'm such a jerk about that.
It's
but,
okay.
I mean, it's fun to just stick up in the air and take the group.
Yeah, but
pictures.
it's not really awesome. You really need the simplest rig is 2 GoPros rigged together back to back. You can get something.
That's what I said. That's what I was going to rubber band them together.
But we can't rubber band them together because if it's not perfectly mounted, you're going to have a lot of trouble. I mean, you go buy or 3D print a rig for the GoPros.
But yeah, because it's so cheap that I can actually just buy 6 of them, right? You need 6 for the rig.
If you want to buy 6 of them, that's relatively cheap. I don't know
I mean, what's the minimum you can get away with?
We do a lot of things with, sometimes even with 2 or 5.
2 or 5. Why 2 or 5? What's the 5th one for?
well, 2 back to back.
Right, that's what I
5
meant
you
to
can
do.
do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up. You know.
And then up, but you don't do the bottom. So what
Sometimes we
happens to the
do.
bottom?
Sometimes we do 7. Sometimes we do 14 cameras per stereo. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you work at this company here? You visit?
You visit. Yeah, that's what I do. I'll show you something here as we leave. Closing up. Anyone have any other questions before we?
Batching, I guess.
What?
Well, could you talk a little bit more about like your batching process? Like, I'm having trouble with like a VR game because there's too many assets on.
Yeah, you've got to get things to batch, and the options for getting them to batch are what's called static batching. If they don't move, you can mark them static, and Unity will automatically batch them. If they do move, you can either make them really low polygon and follow the other criteria in that presentation, and they will dynamic batch. Or there's another technique called static batching utility.combine, which will allow you, if you have a bunch of things and they're all in one node, to run it through that and it will process them together. I'm loading up a little thing that I made to show you some of the video I did at eVisit with 14 cameras. I'll show you what 14 cameras does.
I want to see the 14
Yeah, 14 cameras does stereo. This is stereo, 360, 60 frames per second. Here we go.
What's the lowest you can get away with the Samsung?
It's hard to say.
Oh,
Look
okay.
at Modern Dancer. Look at Modern Dancer 3D and tap the that side piece.
Okay, I'm looking for it. Oh,
Modern
it's right
Dancer.
here. Wow.
This is this girl dancing on our roof in Manhattan, and we filmed her with 14 cameras, and it's pretty amazing. I brought this to Sundance Film Festival and walked around town all week. It was like the hit of Sundance. People were freaking out. Filmmakers were like, I'm only making film. But I want to get into VR. Please come to my party tonight.
It's so neat when she reaches towards you.
Yeah,
she
isn't it
dances
wild?
toward- yes.
Isn't it wild? I
the
think that's one of the
series,
most
Rip-Off's
personal.
great.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. That's one of my favorite things we've done.
You know that all the music videos are going to start doing this
Yeah.
too, right on the roof, just like you did. When you cut, how did you cut? You just cut with a straight cut and dissolve.
I
or-
did the edits on this.
Yeah. So what did you do?
I did some cross state. That's what I did. It didn't used to be like that, and I cut it to make you have to find her and look for her.
Right, because you kind of ghosted her. You reduced
Is it
the
you?
opacity.
What?
And
Is it you?
It's not. It's called Modern Dancer. I don't know if it's on there. It's somewhere on there.
so you're forcing us to move to find her, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
You want to see?
I
You
wanna
want to
see
see?
it.
Here, let me reset.
Am I honking
Hold on,
you?
let me reset.
No, you
wait,
got.
wait.
I mean, I'm gonna end up hugging you.
Here, try. Just look at the middle and tap Modern Dancer.
It's really good. Why aren't you guys being tapped for like music videos? I mean,
We are.
this is-
We're in a lot of. We're
I
doing a lot.
thought you were doing the tours. That's all I know
No, we're
about.
doing a
is,
lot
like-
more. We're getting into a lot of stuff. What did?
I missed it. I clicked.
That's
something.
okay. Now you're in it.
Yeah, now I'm there again.
But you didn't rent a booth. You just went around
Where?
everybody at Sundance.
No, we were there. We had a we.
Oh, okay. Can you just go there and show your
No,
stuff?
we actually no. Sundance is a
Without-
town.
without what?
Sundance is just a town, and we actually had this thing called the VR Lounge that we were in, and it happened to be at the place where all the hottest parties at Sundance were all week. And so
Yeah,
we were there day
lucky
one, so
guy.
I knew everyone there. And so all week at Sundance Film Festival, I was like at the door letting people into the cool party. It was awesome. It was such an amazing week. It was just.
Oh, is it worth going?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, for VR, it was all VR this year.
Yeah, because that
It was just
the big
VR. It was the
thing,
VR festival,
Right.
and we were like one of the main people there. It was awesome.
Which cameras
Wow.
you in this?
That was 14
I
cameras.
can't afford to go to Sundance, but whatever.
Yeah, of course.
I want to see.
What do you want to see? There we go. Okay.
James, how much
Wait,
were
what-
the rooms,
what
the
is the
hotel
company
rooms?
called?
Oh, I don't know. They were
You visit
Like
the
New
one
York
that,
prices?
very expensive.
that he works for. You visit. You
What
visit?
in Sundance? It was
Yeah,
ours
because
was
I mean, don't they
expensive.
gauge it toward when Sundance is they jack up the prices?
Yeah, our room was like $900 a night, but we had a bunch of people like crashing in it.
Do you use GoPros on this one?
Is it
GoPros?
GoPros? Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. You should hold another class, or I'll have to join your group.
Well, everyone has contact with me, and I will respond. And
Okay,
as much
how
as
are we
you
gonna
want.
get this video?
I will edit it and post it.
You don't
Put it
have
on
to edit it,
Basecamp.
just run it.
Well, I mean, you gotta do some stuff. I can't just do anything. I gotta edit it, a little bit.
Okay, all right. I can't wait. I mean, this is fabulous. Yay, thank you, James.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So much value.
Cool.
So little time. I like your screensaver, little kids.
Oh, isn't that
do
cool?
Yeah.
Like Max, that's a very like Maxfield Parrish kind of a thing.
It is. Did you paint that?
No, I wish I could.
It's your arches. That's where you got the idea for the arches.
It resonated with me.
Hey, Landon.
Thank you for being a wonderful camera person, looking
I did so
at the
much. I
camera.
love